Hunger Games 2020. Are we still doing this?
It's not over yet.
Are we still doing Hunger Games?
We don't have to.
Have you guys heard about the Houston Astros?
Yes.
What's going on there?
Yes. They stole some signs.
Where's baseball bat? Dr. Hunter Baker. End of secularism. End it.
I forgot to ask him what that picture even means.
Pastor Joel Woyabin joins us from San Diego. He brings the sun up to Moscow, Idaho. Is what he did.
Did you notice? Yeah, it's like 50 degrees out there today.
I was tanning this morning.
Thank you.
I was tanning this morning before I came to the studio.
No, you weren't.
And he brought his wife, too. Hey!
Hey, Mrs. Webbin.
Thank you for being here and watching this crazy show. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. It's been a while because we've been dropping some of our East Coast tour content,
nice.
and I kind of missed you guys.
Yeah.
So it's good to be back. Hey, club members, we appreciate you guys, but we want more. We need more club members. And any new club member gets the Fight, Laugh, Feast t-shirt.
This is the only way you can get it.
The only way you can get it. It's not in our store.
Become a member.
You got to become a member. Get these
and
cool
we send
Fight,
you
Laugh,
a
Feast.
Fight, Laugh, Feast shirt.
You know, my sister-in-law made that design.
Well, way to go.
Well, good on her.
Keep it in the family.
And
Dave.
if you have a current membership and you upgrade it, do you get a shirt?
Yes. Oh, that's right. I've been meaning to mention that. We haven't mentioned that.
You want to talk about
detail.
Yeah, it's a great detail.
Hey,
Be
you
nice
guys
to know.
also, don't you have like the puree communion wafers for babies? Right? You get that if you become a club member.
There's some holy water. Some holy water.
Who is this guy?
Okay.
Who invited him on this show?
He's been working on that.
And all club members, if you guys join, all current club members, email me, contact@fightlaughfeast.com for your discount to our conference. And any club member gets $100 off. I mean, you're losing money if you don't join the club at this point. I mean,
sign
seriously.
up. FightLaughFeast.com.
And our conference is going to be in Nashville, October 1st through the 3rd. Man,
Put it on the calendar.
Just real quick. I just want to run through the agenda just real quick.
Yeah, it's always real quick.
On Thursday night, we're going to have beer, psalm sings, welcome reception, punch for the kids. That's 7 p.m. So the conference is going to kick off Thursday night at 7 p.m.
Psalm singing.
And beer and wine and punch and we want whole families to be there and participating with us. And then on Friday it's going to be heavy on the worldview theology, and then on Saturday it's going to be media, business, politics, education on Saturday, and then Lord willing, Creek Don't Rise, I can organize all this. We're going to have a bunch of food trucks pull up, and we're going to go out, buy our Sabbath dinner, come back into the event center,
have a big Sabbath dinner,
and finish
Saturday
fellowship with everybody.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Because it's Fight, Laugh, Feast, are we talking with the Psalms, some of the Psalms like enemies, babies?
It's
on
going to
the
be real.
box?
Oh,
Be some
it's
hand
gonna be real.
crushing.
What kind of
hand crushing?
Psalms?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
some fighting Psalms.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, swords in our hands, standing on our beds.
Be some foot stomping and some hand clapping.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This show is brought to you by Classical Conversations. It supports homeschooling parents by cultivating the love of learning through a Christian worldview and fellowship with other families. Classical Conversations provides a classical and Christ-centered curriculum. Local, like-minded communities across the United States gather together, and even in several countries. And they train parents who are striving to be great classical educators in the home. For more information and to get connected, visit their website at classicalconversations.com.
Yep.
Classical, Christian, get connected, get community.
And Robert keeps dropping something. He keeps saying on Twitter, hey, March 28th, something's coming.
Oh,
He won't tell me.
What happened to your mind?
He said March 28th. You did something and it moved something. I don't know. All right. Have you guys followed the Democratic debate? Did you guys watch it this week?
Yeah,
That's right.
I'm a Christian.
Marcus Pittman.
Oh, wow.
Politics are the devil.
Did they mention Jesus in that debate?
Just kidding.
Probably Pinko Pete did.
Yeah. I
He's always-
don't think so.
Well,
Moral self-importance.
So I packed up my stuff and I went home. At least I didn't have a boss who said to me, kill it. The way that Mayor Bloomberg
never
alleged
said
to
that.
have said to one.
alleged to have said.
So she was talking about when she got pregnant, or she.
Back when she was first teaching in school, probably when she was 22, 23, 24, something like that.
I was just wondering, what's wrong with telling him to kill it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what she...
hypocritical.
Well,
Right?
sorry, yeah.
She
I mean,
doesn't get to use that
I thought
argument.
everybody on that stage believes
That's
that
right.
it's totally fine to kill
That's
it.
right.
They should have praised him for that, especially since New York has some interesting laws.
Is Pocahontas pro-life?
Right.
She might be. Well, they're taking
She's pro Pocahontas.
Well, you know what? It does prove one thing, that she expected that the audience would think that that would be wrong.
Yeah.
So their conscience is not necessarily as seared as I would like to think that it would seem to be if they're going to use arguments to convince other people that a pregnant woman should not kill her child.
Yeah.
Well, it's still within the framework of, like, it's your choice. So somebody else putting that on you, that's immoral. But as long as you choose to be a murderer, it's okay.
He's just recommending.
Right.
A suggestion.
That's all.
Well,
keeps going.
Medicare for all will save money. Ours will cost about $45 billion, not $60 trillion.
No, I was talking
Senator Sanders, we would like to bring Mr. Steyer in on this conversation. Mr. Steyer, please.
I was talking about all your programs.
Excuse me, Amy. This conversation shows a huge risk for the Democratic Party.
Huge risk.
We are looking at a party that has decided that we're either going to support someone who's a democratic socialist or somebody who has a long history of being a Republican.
Oh,
Mayor Bloomberg.
And let me say that I got into this race because I wanted to fight for economic justice, for racial justice, and to make sure we had climate justice for the American people.
Climate justice.
And I am scared.
Wow.
Me too, brother.
Yeah.
The climate's being oppressed.
Yeah.
Well,
Climate justice.
It just like he went just all like blah 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 blah. I'm just like all the rest of you.
You know what's interesting? If you notice, when this started, when the Democratic debates and this whole kicked off, and you had I Am Spartacus and Kamala Harris, and no one was talking like this.
Like what?
Talking about the idea that socialism was really bad. Right. No one was talking about this. And all of a sudden, now that Republicans and other people in the news are saying, are we really looking at Bernie Sanders becoming the candidate?
It's actually a huge blessing.
That's what I was just about to go to.
Oh, sorry.
No. Hey, take it. I don't have. We're wrestling tag team, baby.
Man, no, go finish your thought.
But the fact that this now has become kind of America saying this, they're saying, wait, they're actually looking like they'll elect a socialist to lead the party.
Yeah, right.
And they said, people won't like that.
Socialist.
People won't like that. Yeah, with sprinkles on top. Okay,
right, exactly.
And now they're playing to that.
I think it could be one of the best things that ever happened to America.
That they all
is
say
have Sanders be the nominee.
Yeah,
because everybody's like because like he doesn't care.
That's right.
There are no filters on that.
No.
Right.
Yeah. And full blown socialist.
Well, and what's going to be interesting is to watch certain Christians try and defend that type of idea that he has, knowing that their Christianity
because it's about community.
Man,
it's like polyamory. It's just about community and love for one another.
I'm just excited.
Well, with every single one of these candidates, like Christians, they're going to have to backpedal. So, like Doug was saying, like if it's Pete, then the just blatant sexual immorality.
Yeah.
So every single Christian said, "Well, Trump, he's horrible. We can't vote for him because of his affairs."
Yeah.
Right. Well, what do you do when you have an active sodomite now? Right. So you're going to have to say something with that. You're going to have to backpedal and say, well, I guess, Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, yeah. I actually think, maybe this goes back to our conversation with David Bonson. I think some of the more blander ones could be the worst thing.
Yeah,
sure.
Right.
You're right.
I think you
sort of raise the issues.
If you can pray this way, you kind of want to pray that it's one of the the really crazies that gets the nomination, because that would be so good and helpful for the church.
Yeah, because we'll get Trump, but also not just that. Like those Christians who really are in sin will be forced to be confronted by their sin. Will be right in their face. They'll have to repent.
Can I just say too? I don't trust Trump yet.
Oh no.
I just want to say that really quick.
By comparison?
I'm with you.
No, because when this was happening on the other side, 2016, when Trump was running on the other side, we had no idea that he was going to be the president we got.
Yeah.
We got surprised with that.
Oh, yeah.
But just looking at it in retrospect, the thoughts that I was having were like, I don't trust him. I still have that a little bit. If he wins again, he doesn't have anything to lose. Right. What does he turn into? There's no borders, there's no guards, and so at this point, he still needs the party to go his way.
Well, that's the thing.
But he's kind of proved himself in one sense.
A little preview for the next segment. We're talking to Hunter Baker, and when I was reading that section in End of Secularism about Machiavelli, I was like, he's talking about Trump, but he wrote that in 2009.
Yeah.
Right before Trump.
And I was like, the whole point is winning.
Yeah.
And anyways, so I'm with you. I think there's things there it's scary. The only thing I think that helps a little bit is that he's surrounded himself with a lot of people who I think are more consistently Christian.
Yep, absolutely.
It helps a little bit, but but
he's proven himself in a lot of ways.
Like Paula White. Wait, who said that?
Okay.
I want to point out one thing here with the actual Democratic nomination process is very similar to what happened with Trump. Is you have Bernie Sanders, he's basically winning by about 30% in all these states, right? And then you have all these. Elizabeth Warren is now going back to center. I don't know if you've seen her shift in the last couple of weeks, right? Yeah. She's saying, I'm not a socialist. She said that a couple of weeks ago. So she's trying to play center. So you have all these 7 candidates vying for that 70%, and Bernie just keeps getting that 30.
Okay.
And this is exactly what happened to Trump
and
how he got nominated.
But way more important than all of this is the Astros.
No, we aren't there yet. I got one more video for you.
I'm so tired of this.
Before we get this, I got one more video for you that I want to bring into this. We're getting there. Hang on, Toby.
Spring training.
It's a big deal.
And I am not looking forward to a scenario where it comes down to Donald Trump with his nostalgia for the social order of the 1950s and Bernie Sanders with the nostalgia for the revolutionary politics of the 1960s.
Wait.
This is not about what coups were happening in the 1970s or 80s. This is about the future.
That's a good point.
This is about 2020.
He doesn't have any right to say that.
We are not going to survive or succeed, and we're certainly not going to win by reliving the Cold War. And we're not going to win these critical House and Senate races if people in those races have to explain why the nominee of the Democratic Party is telling people to look at the bright side of the Castro regime. We've got to be a lot smarter about
I'm just saying, as a debate, it was a bird.
Obama's doing pretty good. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Who did Pete Buddy's gay?
He has no ground to stand on. He has no ground to stand.
No, absolutely.
The sexual revolution of the 60s. He's a walking, talking icon of the sexual revolution of the 60s. He's the one who thinks he's married to another dude.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, you are that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Also, Pete Buddy's gay also supported Bernie while he was mayor. Just for the record, he was all huge.
No,
Bernie
I covered this on a news brief.
He's been a huge.
So this is hilarious.
Back in high school, he won a writing contest because he wrote a whole paper on Bernie Sanders.
A love letter to Bernie.
Dear Bernie.
He did. Oh, no, I know. He did. Which also just tells you there's no difference.
Yeah.
This is WWF.
Yeah.
This is scripted behind the scenes somewhere.
I don't know. It's not that scripted. It's not that fake. It's not that fake. But it's all it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, we're not talking baseball. We got
As mayor
more.
of New York.
Come on.
You declared war on obesity. You banned trans fats
Good.
from restaurants, and you tried to do
Good
the
mayor.
same with large sugary drinks.
He tried to
so
ban
if you
big
become
gulps.
president, will
Good.
you push those policies on the national level as well?
Well, I think what's right for New York City isn't necessarily right for all the other cities. Otherwise,
states'
you'd have
rights,
a naked cowboy in every city. So let's get serious here. But
Let's
I do
get
think
serious.
it's the
You can't even
government's
tell a
job
joke.
to have good science and to
serious
explain
here.
to people what science says, how to take care of themselves and extend their lives. We are a country.
Science.
I'm done.
This
is enough.
We're getting out of here.
So
science, like what defines a baby.
He needs to read Hunter Baker's book, The End of Secularism.
Yeah, he does. When I sat down, I watched the majority of this debate, mainly through Marcus Pittman's channel, Law and Profits, because he was streaming it.
Okay.
But one of the things that I walked away with, and I keep saying this after every one of these debates, is that the question that we are letting them have is what are they going to do with my health care? Yep. How are they going to take care of my mom? How are they going to take care and educate my children? Yep. How are they going to make sure that I get paid a high wage?
That's
are they? What? When do we become happy with how the government? Listen, every time the government has built some sort of projects to help black people or minority peoples, they turn into ghettos. Every time. They don't know anything about economics.
Yeah.
Or how to manage it.
It's not even their job.
And that's the whole point. Because they're not supposed to be able to do it.
Right. Take responsibility.
I can't have a baby. The government can't handle economics. Leave it alone. Okay?
Yeah,
amen.
It's a result of a bunch of beta males.
Yeah,
what it is, you know.
Well, we're going to talk
about
baseball.
I need people
in
just
just
people to provide
1 week of preseason games. It's like,
nice.
Toby's happy.
Astros hitters have already been hit by 7 pitches in what's either a statistical fluke or early signs that Houston batters could be targets of baseball vigilantes.
Oh, wow.
You like this, don't you?
It's going to be a long season for the Houston Astros.
I just got to say, I'm happy finally that baseball has something to talk about. Just telling you the truth.
He's never been to spring training, man.
I'm not a fan of the sign stealing. Gabe has my plug.
What's wrong with you people?
I'm not a fan of the things that they do it. I'm totally opposed to it. But at least they finally have something to talk about. My goodness.
No, man.
Well, when you set up, so what happened was they set up a video camera in the outfield that could zoom in on the catcher, calling fastballs,
right? So this is the stealing. They stole signs,
right?
And then they had this system worked out where they would bang on a trash can actually back behind the thing, and it would just tell them if it was going to be an off-speed pitch
or a fastball.
So they cheated,
and so they cheated. But here's the thing: it's a classic thing in baseball. you can try to steal signs.
Yes.
The right way.
The right way.
That's right.
Yeah.
But there's an honor code, and actually it's written into
It's just warfare. There's a stealing sign.
If the catcher's just got his legs hanging wide open and he's
like flashing his
signs, man, it's free game.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can't use technology,
binoculars,
and like technology.
It's gotta be naked eye, right?
It's considered that's just below the belt.
So you can steal signs, which is how you do it.
Exactly. And so, but they had this system worked out, and so they pretty much demonstrated it, and they admitted it.
They fired the GM and the manager.
Yeah, and Dusty Baker is now in.
He's taken over the Astros.
He's taken over the Astros. He's got a clean house, but he's got his hands full because the Major League Baseball has really. I mean, I think a lot of people think they've no players were penalized.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask.
And all of them were in on it.
And they were all in on it.
Because they were taking the sign.
Yeah, but the players don't have enough power. You got to penalize the guy with the most power.
Well, that's what they went after. I mean, they went after the responsible one because the managers knew about it.
Did the Astros win something?
They won the World Series.
Oh, that's important?
That's kind of what amped all this up.
They got World Series rings.
Oh, okay.
And
it's kind of like the Super Bowl, but for baseball.
And they got their cash bonus. They got their cash bonus.
It's kind of like the Super Bowl, but it doesn't matter.
Oh. Wait. Message.
We got to be doing some evangelizing in here.
We got some.
Obviously, have some rank pagans in the house.
So they didn't get really penalized. They didn't get the championship taken away from them.
That was bad,
Okay, they fired a GM. Yep. None of the players got penalized.
And Pete Rose right now, who's banned for life from the league, is like, hey guys, that was worse than what I did
for gambling on games.
But he only gambled on his team.
Yeah,
to win.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But that's the thing. So the suspicion has been that the Astros players are getting hit at a higher rate, and they've it at least initially seems like that's kind of high. It turns out that all players, there's actually been an epidemic of players getting hit this last week. Okay. Astros actually have the highest.
Yeah. It's preseason. The pitcher's arms are a little wild,
but it's actually like the whole league has a higher number of hit by pitches.
Really? Do you think this is a media thing
than usual?
The media's focusing in on the Astros.
Where there's blood, there's a story.
Yeah. Right. But here's the thing: is if this keeps up. They keep getting beamed.
Well, I think what they're doing is they're trying to do a coronavirus thing in the MLB.
Ooh.
Well, okay. Well, that's interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think a whole bunch of that coronavirus stuff is way overblown.
Right. Of course.
And because it's a story. And it'll get people to get scared. And maybe we can get the Dow Jones Industrial Average to dive.
And then maybe we can get you to get whatever we want.
And then maybe Trump will be blamed for it all.
I mean,
I do blame Trump for the Astros controversy.
Well, my dad has
just for the record, I blame Trump.
Elizabeth Warren's blaming Trump for the coronavirus right now.
I blame Trump also for global warming.
Yep.
And climate injustice.
But do you think, are they getting hit more than anybody else?
I think one or two more pitches more.
That's it.
1 or 2 more pitches more.
It's not. I would say it's an anomaly, but it's not statistically enough of one to show
it's not a story.
There's not a big enough gap to make a story out of it.
So you're saying if they got hit 6 times more, what's the number before you say, okay, that's a problem?
I actually don't know the statistics well enough to know that.
But how do you know that they are not saying, well, since everybody's getting hit, let's make sure we hit them?
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it actually.
Right.
I mean, there were people tweeting, Major League Baseball players was tweeting that the Astros need to watch their backs.
Okay, so we know that there's already been threats on
So
that.
there's been threats.
There's a target.
Okay,
and they are, and a bunch of Major League Baseball players are upset.
So I saw the numbers, and I still think that it's odd that's happening.
Yeah.
Okay. And
there's been a number of threats. A number of people are upset with the commissioner, and then it's it's like how many people have gotten hit by pitches?
Yeah.
Oh, the Astros are at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Well,
I'm saying is if this keeps up and they keep getting hit, and the averages or the hits actually increase because of what happened, if I was one of those players that keeps getting hit, I would just start a fight every time I got hit by pitch.
Oh,
this is baseball, not hockey.
All right, well, no, baseball.
That's really Christ-like.
You can charge the mound here because
you can't.
Yeah, you can charge the mound.
No,
I was a pitcher. I've been charged. I'll charge right back at you.
It is it's not like hockey at all.
Yeah.
But you know what though?
I know it's not like hockey. I know there's rules of engagement.
You get kicked out,
and I can charge the mound.
Yeah,
no, this is
because I keep getting hit.
This is the environment you create when you don't have justice.
Exactly.
That's right.
You create anarchy. When someone
I just teed you up.
Thank you. I appreciate that from the Baptist. So when you don't have true justice, it is not got people are going to figure I'm going to get it one way or the other.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that can happen right now is that, they can say, you know what, we need to maybe step back and repent.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, We need to take, and you know what?
Do you think all the players should have been kicked out too?
No.
Fired?
Yeah. Well, you
like
know
the
what?
manager
No, you lose your championship.
Yeah.
You lose your championship because you didn't earn it.
Yeah.
You didn't earn it.
Yeah.
So it's not
cheated.
yours.
Yeah.
You cheated to get it.
But that's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying that the Major League Baseball commissioner has gone completely soft on them, didn't punish them, and didn't revoke the thing that they won.
And so blood is inescapable.
Exactly.
They're going to get it.
This is why the fact that we are not executing justice, at least on murderers.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you get? You get more murder.
You get more murderers.
That's right.
But if you strike the fool, the simple learn wisdom.
That's right.
Proverbs says. And when justice is executed speedily,
swiftly,
justice prevails.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's
a deterrent towards
So this
sin.
is, and it's funny. Like it starts everywhere. If you let your kids, if my son says, "Hey, she keeps hitting me," and I don't investigate and do a proper trial and make judgments, then he's going to figure out how to knock somebody's teeth out.
So and you got to walk that tightrope. You got to do both. So you got to swiftly execute justice on your son, but you also have to make sure your son could be a victim.
Yeah. Right.
Because sister could be falsely accusing, right?
Due diligence,
that's right.
And 2 or 3 witnesses.
So it's swift, but not at the cost of diligence.
That's right. Due process always. Amen. And it's a blessing for everybody.
And it matters in everything. It doesn't even if it's baseball or not, or at home or the courts. It's all the same.
You guys are burnt out on politics. I can tell because you spent more time on the Astros.
Because that's more interesting than the Democratic debates.
It's just a zoo.
This is political.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And religious.
The end of secularism with Hunter Baker coming up next on Cross Politics.
All right.
Americans have been traveling down the health insurance highway for decades. But lately, it's been taking us to places we don't want to go. For Christians, it's hard to know which road to take. Or is it? Samaritan Ministries provides a different direction, a biblical path for their members to pray for each other and share financially in each other's medical needs.
This idea that Samaritan has adopted from the book of Acts should permeate all parts of our lives, not just health sharing. We, as a body of believers, are living out New Testament Christianity. This is what God intended for the church.
Do you believe that you need an insurance company, or do you believe that God will provide your needs? And there are people that you've never met before who are going to pray for you and meet your needs. There's another way.
Looking for a new direction for your health care? Visit us online at SamaritanMinistries.org.
Logos Online School is your affordable partner in classical Christian homeschooling, offering live teacher-led instruction 4 days a week to students in grades 7 through 12. Our experienced, enthusiastic teachers provide instruction in math, science, literature, history, languages, Bible, apologetics, rhetoric, government, and economics. Find out why more and more Christian homeschoolers are turning to Logos Online School for the education of their children. Go to logosonlineschool.com today.
Hey, welcome back to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network.
Yes.
Is my chair sinking?
Your chair is sinking?
It's
Did
sinking.
you get the sinking chair?
No, you just
Y'all set me up.
I traded it.
Watch it. You're a guest.
I traded out.
Yeah, you're a guest.
Hey, with us right now on the line is Dr. Hunter Baker, Dean of Arts and Sciences, also serves as University Fellow and Professor of Political Science at Union University in Jackson, Tennessee. Give it up for Tennessee, I guess.
Hey, we're going to be in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's coming up October.
He is the author of 3 books, The End of Secularism, which I'm holding right here in my hand, Political Thought, A Student's Guide, and The System Has a Soul, and has contributed chapters to several others and has written for a wide variety of print and digital publications. He is also the winner of the 2011 Michael Novak Award, conferred by the Acton Institute, and has lectured widely on religion and liberty. He's also now a fellow of the Acton Institute. And in addition to his work at Union, Baker serves as an associate editor of the Journal of Markets and Morality and is a contributing editor for Touchstone.
Can Christians do that? Markets and morality?
We're going to find out in a second.
Okay.
Also a research fellow of the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission, and is the co-founder of the publication The City, and has now been on Cross Politic. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Baker.
the greatest laurel of all there at the end. Yes.
Well, you're so kind, sir.
Yeah, stop it.
Wait till the interview's over before you say that.
So the first question is, are you wearing a bow tie right now?
I am not.
Oh, I'm a little disappointed.
No, I'm sorry. I have the bow ties, but I generally try to play against the stereotype, so I don't.
Man,
I
all
don't
the
often
pictures,
wear the bow ties.
all the pictures I saw you online, though, you had bow ties.
See all the videos.
There's just like one.
Okay,
there's like one. I mean,
that's all of them.
That's all of them.
It's gone viral.
Yeah.
I need a new photo because I've lost 50 or 60 pounds since that one.
Okay,
how about
all right. Okay,
I deserve a new look. Yeah.
Well, I just finished your book, The End of Secularism, and I'm very sorry that I haven't read it until now. Actually, Pastor Doug Wilson's been pushing this book for a while, and I feel very confident that if I had actually told him I hadn't read it yet, he would have given me that, sort of
what's wrong with you?
Sort of sad look, like
you were the chosen one.
Just a fatherly.
And look what you've done.
What's wrong with you? So, anyways, thank you so much for your work on this book. I don't know why it isn't blowing up. Blowing up everywhere. Yeah. I mean, sir. I mean, it was.
Well, it's been years. That was published in 2009.
Yeah.
So I got a pretty good notice on it at the time.
Okay.
I did before the age of podcasts. Really, I did a gazillion radio interviews and had the Christianity Today spread and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it got attention.
Okay. Well, we're just late to the party.
Yeah.
But so.
Wait, he had the Christianity Today spread.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think of Christianity Today now?
I am an unusual guy. Here's what I would say. So I think if you could draw a Venn diagram, right, of people who really like Doug Wilson and people who really like Russell Moore, I may be like the one guy who is in the overlap on that.
Well, this interview's
on
over.
That diagram, I'm the.
Well,
I have appreciation, right? For different people, but so like if you're asking me, do I agree with Christianity Today, kind of in the editorial they did about Donald Trump? The answer to that is no, and I don't like the people who are always upset that I'm not constantly denouncing Donald Trump's Twitter feed or whatever else. I think there are a lot worse things, including millions of unborn children whose lives have been taken, things like that.
Right.
To focus all of my attention on Donald Trump's intemperance.
Right.
So that's kind of where I am.
So I'm going to just jump right in, and I'm going to use the TH word, theocracy. I just want to go right in.
You was wondering why we didn't send you any show notes for the day?
0 to 100.
Yeah. So most people think of the theocracy word as basically Sharia law, the church blended into the state, using the sword of the state to impose and coerce moral values, religion, and so on. But of course, a lot of people have accused Calvin and many of the Puritans of being, endorsing theocracy just for insisting that God's over the state as just a separate institution from the church. But, so my question after reading your book is, I want to know, is theocracy in some sense inescapable? And why is the answer yes?
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of times, first of all, I don't want to say theocracy is inescapable, but there is a lot of reason to think about that and to consider the strength of what you just said. Think about the word culture, right? What's the root word of the word culture?
Cult.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, every culture has a cult.
Right.
And so for a long, long time in the West and for an extended period in the United States, Christianity has been the cult in culture.
Right.
And while that wasn't, certainly within the last 50, 60 years, that hasn't been really official in any serious sense. You have still had Americans and Westerners generally, and this is still happening, totally unacknowledged, kind of riding on the moral and spiritual capital of Christianity.
Yep.
So have we lived in sort of a, I might call it kind of an informal theocracy or theocracy light or something like that? Yes.
Yeah.
And are we experiencing the pain of a shift to the cultural worship of a different God? Also, yes. Right. I mean,
right.
The culting culture is changing, and that turns a lot of us into heretics.
Pretty quick.
Which is not a fun place to be.
Yeah. We're in the middle of getting disciplined heavily right now.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
I kind of expect an answer like that from somebody who can hold Doug Wilson and Russell Moore together.
Exactly. Yes.
Because now
that's
I'm trying
right.
So how is it escapable then?
How can you escape theocracy?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, just in the sense that that it doesn't end up looking the way people think theocracy would look.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
I mean,
they can't see it.
And it's really, there's so many ways to think about this. Like, if you go back, there's a really great book by Stephen D. Smith called Pagans and Christians in the City, and he's kind of talking about this transition. But he's talking about Rome. And when the Christian church emerges in Rome, the Romans are so annoyed because they do have kind of a theocracy, but it probably wouldn't feel to us the way we tend to think of it. I think when we think about theocracy, we think about an inquisition and careful doctrinal control and stuff like that.
Sure.
For them, paganism doesn't really have doctrine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Paganism is not really about truth. You're not really seeking the truth. It's more of a performative public participation kind of a thing, right?
Right.
We're just all doing this thing together, and kind of it gives a glow to nature, and that's all good. And
isn't it a civil religion?
Yeah. I mean, yes, and kind of it can be kind of lightly supernatural and stuff like that.
Sure.
But they were so annoyed by the Christians because the Christians are insisting Jesus is Lord, ... and Caesar is not.
Right.
Right. And so from the Romans' perspective, they're like, well, why can't you just be like everybody else? And, we'll kind of have a place for Jesus in the pantheon one way or the other.
Right. Right.
And the Christians are like, no, right. And they're infuriated by that.
Right.
So that, I would say they had a theocracy, but pretty loosely held, right? As long as you're willing to kind of give your pinch of incense or say the right words at the right time, right?
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, so is it inescapable in some broad sense? The answer is yes.
Go, we got him. We got him. There it is.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I'll take that.
It was a little slow.
You pressed me. You pressed me hard enough, Mr. Prosecutor.
One of the things you do in your book, you seem to chide Christians a little bit for considering secularism a religion, but then the way you kind of go on, you seem to kind of make the point that it is in some ways. And so,
let me put it this way, okay? Secularism, if we just strictly define it, right now, so unfortunately, I think I'm probably in my Doug Wilson Russell Moore thing again.
That's what I was
so
you can't have two
secularism,
masters.
if you strictly define secularism,
right?
Okay, all it means is that we leave God out of it. Right, that we do not have any religious consideration. That is what secularism advertises itself as.
Yeah.
Now, if the question is, does it end up getting transformed into something else? Then the answer is yes, right? I mean, it turns out, and this goes back to that book I was telling you about. Unfortunately, I'm advertising somebody else's book. The part of the point that he makes, and I think I would go with this, is that it turns out that nobody can live with that technical, sterile secularism.
Sure.
it is not sustainable, right? And so what happens is, and this is happening now, and this is part of what Stephen D. Smith says, is that the secularists who thought that they could be completely neutral and kind of purely scientific, empirical, materialistic, they are finding that they cannot live with that, because the conclusions of that are really severe and really bad for human beings. And they want something, they want to find some source of the sacred, but they're not going to find it in transcendent religion,
right?
With God and authority. They're going to find it in some sort of immanent religion built into nature somehow, something like that. And that's what's happening, is that the secularism, the way that I talked about it in 2009, is proving to be unsustainable and is falling apart.
Right. And it seems like there's an element of, secularists where there's kind of like, like the old classical liberals, where they believed in some sort of higher being.
Most of them believed in God.
Most of them believed in God. They believed in some sort of, morality that we could all sort of agree on. They believed in, they also believed in a neutral turf. But that's been just crushed. That's been abolished. That's gone. I mean, look at the Democratic Party now. There's, I don't even know what kind of liberal you call them. But the Christians,
I think that, I think that classical liberalism really depended in important ways, and a lot of us have said this over time. Classical liberalism depended in important ways on Christianity.
Oh yeah,
And now this is actually a debate that we have within the ERLC. One of my fellows on the ERLC, another guy is Paul Miller at Georgetown. And when I make the argument that Christianity, one way or the other, is probably necessary for the sustainability of liberalism, Paul disagrees. Paul is like, no, liberal democracy is like an app, and you can just copy the app. And my response to that is, well, how's that working out in Afghanistan, right? I mean, that's
Iraq,
the answer.
where we tried to copy and paste.
Or Iraq, or what's going to happen in China?
Exactly,
right?
I mean, China,
we all had this belief that if a culture reached a certain degree of economic sophistication, a certain degree of wealth, that democracy and human rights would automatically follow. And guess what? You take Christianity out of the equation, that doesn't necessarily happen.
No, socialism follows.
Well, look at Germany. I mean, they had wealth, right?
Right.
The morality of that wasn't so good.
Well, Germany is one of these countries that broke with its past, right? I mean, broke very decisively with its past. You have somebody like Hitler, who is pretty strongly influenced by, a figure like Nietzsche.
Yep.
And sees things, a lot of people have this idea that Hitler was somehow tight with the Christians or something like that. And that's not really the case.
Yeah.
He was trying to remake the Christian church into something else, something that is sort of based on race and nation. And there's a great book called Pillar of Fire. I'm suddenly blanking on the guy's name, but he was a Jewish psychiatrist who converted to Christianity in Germany.
Wow.
And his view of the Nazis was that they viewed Christianity as this ridiculous desert religion, this mysterious desert religion that they had no truck with at all.
Was that Taylor Branch? Is that who you're thinking of?
No, it's Carl Stern.
Carl Stern.
Carl with a K. Carl Stern, yeah.
All right.
So one of the things I think is particularly helpful about your work here is I liked how you traced particularly American history and the American story and made a strong case. I think maybe the strongest case I've read, honestly, about the goodness of the original doctrine of the separation of church and state, the First Amendment.
Yes.
Yes. And the idea that it's a protection for the church. And you run through is it Sweden? Where the church,
the Department of God.
Yeah, and so the establishment of the church. Actually, the founding fathers saw that as basically the leeches. It's the cancer. It's the thing that they'll get the hooks in the church, and it will ultimately suck the life out of the church. And I've seen that a little bit here and there, but I thought your work in there was phenomenal and helpful in connecting a bunch of those dots.
I am so thankful for the separation of church and state. I mean, you could imagine kind of an alternate history of the United States where kind of the mainline churches became the established church, right?
Right.
And they'd be thrilled with that, right? And they would all be thrilled to change the understanding of human sexuality and still have the treasury collecting the tithes and stuff like that, right? Yep. Pastors as bureaucrats with a pretty great job and a pretty great pension. So, they're totally domesticated.
It seems,
right?
It seems to me exactly. No, exactly. So I'm all there. It seems to me that what we had at the founding, and for maybe 40 years or something, was sort of an informal recognition that of sort of a generic Protestantism.
Right.
And my question is what do you? I mean, we don't want to call that the establishment of Protestantism, but at the same time, there was a. You note the famous Supreme Court ruling, and what it was, I can't remember which one it was, in the end of the 19th century, where they say we are a Christian nation.
Yeah.
You have presidents calling for days of prayer to the triune God, the Father of the Lord Jesus Christ. You have even Sundays are off in the Constitution, and things like that recognize a sort of informal Protestantism, which seems to me necessary. Back to your point with your discussion with your fellow there about it seems to me that that's necessary for the kind of principled pluralism that we want. But that's actually a Christian value. You don't get that from some other place. You get it from Protestantism. Protestantism is what actually argues for a certain kind of principled pluralism.
Yeah, I mean, I think that even more so than when I wrote that book, I have an appreciation for how strongly what you might call scriptural Protestantism influenced the course of the West. It's if you think about the Reformation and the printing press and the massive literacy project of the Reformers and the vernacular Bibles, I really think that developed a super strong sense of kind of constitutionalism and human rights and democracy. The famous saying, I can't remember if I have it in that book, I have it elsewhere, that the plowboy with scripture on his side is superior to a prelate, a church official.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
With scripture on your side, right? The idea that there is some authoritative source to which you can look to settle a dispute, and it's not just a matter of human power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just think I guess maybe the question I'm asking is, at one point when you're talking, you walk through the deconstruction that Stanley Fish does sort of the secularizing of secularism, and then he comes out the other side and says, so I think Christianity should just push for full hegemony. And
that's right.
And you kind of you sort of balk at that slightly, but my question is if Protestantism, a true understanding of Protestantism, pushed for hegemony, wouldn't that actually result in a principled pluralism?
Well, it's a good question. A lot of it, I kind of want to go with the founders here a little bit, and I think that one thing if I didn't say it there, I said it more fully in a Touchstone article called "The Soul of Liberty," and which also appears in a book called "The System Has a Soul." That I really think that one of the things that forms America early on, constitutionally, is a deep skepticism toward human beings with power.
Oh yeah.
And so, if you look at political theory, so often and political movements and revolutions, and so often we're asking who has the power, and we're constantly battling over that, who's going to have it, right? But to me, what happened with the founders that was different is they didn't say just who has the power. They said how much power.
Mm-hmm.
How much? Right. And when you start asking that question, then hegemony is not really the thing to be aimed at.
Yeah, I guess my point is just
right.
That limitation,
humility.
Though, yeah, but it seems to me though that's the way of Jesus. Though Jesus says, if you will be great in the kingdom, you'll become the servant of all. I mean, he's the one inverting those categories, and so that's why I guess I wonder though if the founding of America actually was one of the clearest expressions of a truly Christian hegemony. It's ironic in a sense because you're right. It's a displacement of power, but that's the way of Jesus. It's a limitation of power. And I know that maybe that would be confusing to some to say it that way, but I just wonder if that was actually Protestantism at its full blown was saying, don't give people too much power.
Yeah.
Right. Let's separate it.
Yeah, I get that. I think that's right. I mean, certainly if you read the Federalist Papers, a lot of that's what's going on. You read Alexander Hamilton and Madison, and you have this sense of the problem of faction. Now they call it faction,
right?
We could call it the problem of sinfulness, right?
Original sin.
That our passions become inflamed, and we seek to aggregate in numbers and to kind of have our way, right?
Yep.
And actually, gosh, we could go back to Augustine on this as well, because Augustine talks about how sin results in our prideful desire to dominate, right? And so we call it justice when we get our way, but actually, it may not be justice at all, right? So, that's just sort of our own self-interested view of what justice is, right? And so again, that sort of humility about how much power I really need to have and how much I really need to dominate others.
Yeah.
But I mean, but look, one thing that I say more and more to people is, yes, we're a constitutional democracy or a constitutional democratic republic, but increasingly, I feel like the most important thing I can say to people politically is that we're a democracy inside a monarchy, right? The monarchy being Christ, right?
Amen.
That
I read. We're going theocracy stuff here.
There you go.
Yeah. But I read. You guys are more theologically trained than me. I'm a politics guy, but I read Kings and Chronicles, and the miserable story of the kind of kings of Israel, right? Which is a pretty bad story throughout. And it begins with that warning, right? I mean, 1 Samuel 8, you have this pretty substantial warning from God about what the problems of having the king are. And then you have this miserable history that follows. And, I kind of read that as a Christian layperson reading the scripture. And what I say to myself is the message here is there's only one king worthy of the name.
Amen.
Right? That's Jesus Christ.
That's the Russell Marr
party.
That's the
most significant. This is the most significant political statement we can make.
Yeah,
and I think that we need to remind people of that over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
We could just keep going.
But actually, since we don't have all day to talk to you and you don't have all day to talk to us, we are going to wrap up with this last question. I'm going to shoot 3 of them at you, which I should never do, ever. But what is Machiavellianism? Is Trump a Machiavellian president? And are you going to vote for him as a Machiavellian president?
Machiavelli is different. He kind of is a break from the tradition of political philosophy, because before Machiavelli, mostly people are trying to ask, what is the good, right? How do we pursue the good? And with Machiavelli, it's more like, how do you win?
How do you win?
Right?
I'm winning.
Yes. So much winning, right? Yes. That's right.
We're winning every day.
So is Trump Machiavellian? The answer is yes. We live in a totally Machiavellian political culture, right? I mean, if you look back to Plato, Plato hates the sort of the sophists, who are who are using philosophy for personal gain, right? These guys are mercenaries
right.
of argument, and he hates them, and he talks about the way they deceive the public and they use all these psychological tricks. Well, in our day, we look at the people who do that and we praise them.
Yeah.
We uphold these people as heroes, right? Oh, you're some awesome spin doctor or something. Whereas for Plato, these people were contemptible.
Yeah.
Right? But our entire political culture is that. So is Trump part of that? He is. Now, with regard to my own personal preference, I'll say it to my ruin, but I've said it before. I prefer him to the alternative.
Yeah.
So that's where I end up. As much as I'm not crazy about him, I am 10 times worse, more horrified by the left right now. So I guess I vote like a realist, pragmatic realist.
So Plato wouldn't like Russell more then.
That's so mean.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's good, man.
Hey, Hunter, thank you so much for joining us, man. It was a great having you on the show. Please go get this book, The End of Secularism by Hunter Baker. It is a great book, and you need to have it in your library. More Cross Politic when we come back. Please don't tell Russell I said that. I did not commit suicide.
At Logos Online School, we believe learning should be accessible. Homeschooling shouldn't stop you from staying connected. Enjoy classmates from across the United States and the whole world, coming at you 4 days a week and 32 weeks a year. We believe learning should be engaging, a group of like-minded students who love God and their classmates. Learning should also be customized, with more than 50 different classes offered throughout the day. Take one class or join us full-time. We believe learning should be inspired. Our knowledgeable instructors enthusiastically engage the students. The goal? Hearts that love learning. Lastly, learning should be affordable. Committed to making Christian education reasonable for all families. From $620 per class for an entire year to $2,232 per year for full-time students. The best option on the market. Join us at Logos Online School.
You gotta check your.
I know what happened there.
We don't want to see that.
It went backwards.
We're done.
We no more debates. Debates.
No more.
Oh my goodness.
Can we not do any more debates until they figure out who the nominee is?
I think they're done. Because Super Tuesday is probably going to determine roughly what's going to happen.
So we're done.
I think. I don't know.
Welcome back to Cross Politic. We are really grateful to have with us in the studio today Joel Webbin.
Pastor Joel
is the
Webbin.
pastor. I was gonna say that.
A little more respect.
Stay in your lane,
Response Church in San Diego, California. Husband to Megan, who's also in the studio. Father of Olive and Ruth, and also the author of the book "Am I Truly Saved? A Study Through 1 John."
I got them keys.
Oh, now you got it.
Well,
now
he had it.
Now
before.
you got it. Which was, he pointed out to us right before the show, has been endorsed both by Ben Merkel, president of New St. Andrews College, and Justin Peters, founder.
It's a feat. Quite a feat.
Yeah, that's
Get both of
and
those
with
guys.
the forward by Costi Hinn.
Yeah.
Like,
how about that?
All hanging out with all the cool people.
This is going to take away from my point.
I got 2 Presbyterians and 2 Baptists.
That's right. All club members. We're going to be in a drawing for 9 of these books. 10 of these books.
Are there any Lutherans in the committee?
This segment is brought to you by New St. Andrews College. New St. Andrews is a post-secondary education. It has both a undergraduate degree and master's degrees. They aim to provide young men and women with the highest quality undergraduate, graduate education in liberal arts and culture from a distinctively Christian and Reformed perspective to equip them to live lives of faithful service to the triune God and his kingdom. Amen. And to encourage using their gifts for the growth of Christian culture.
Amen.
We got some
training leaders. Training leaders.
My wife and I toured the school with Gabe yesterday. We just got to figure out where we're going to send our kids. You know, we got like 18 years to figure it out, but New St. Andrews, top of the list.
You haven't baptized those kids yet?
Yeah, we're going to baptize them just right when the Bible tells us to.
So they're baptized already. Just wondering.
Fair enough. Hey, we talked about this. I think I got the sign-off line.
I got it.
Really?
When we're ready. If you give me the chance.
Go ahead. Let me hear
okay.
it.
So, all right. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, train them up in the fear and admonition of the Lord. And when they made a credible profession of faith, then baptize them.
Oh.
Is that it?
Go fight. Laugh and feast.
Maybe next time.
Where's that horn?
We'll work on that.
All right.
We're going to for next time.
All right. I was close.
So,
are we giving away the book first?
No. So next week we'll do a drawing for club members.
Why are you telling we're doing a drawing?
I haven't set it up. I got to do it. I got to set it up.
All right. Never mind.
I didn't have time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Joel, what is wrong with you? That's basically the question we have.
Besides being Baptist?
No, yeah. I mean, no. Why? You're a pastor.
Right. In
California.
Yeah.
Isn't that illegal?
What's wrong with you people?
I think that's illegal.
Yeah.
Who sent you there?
Just not that long ago, my stupidity sent me there. God's providence through the means of
your
my
stupidity.
stupidity.
It's kind of like Jonah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Jonah did awesome things in the sovereignty of God, and the agency that God used in His mercy was Jonah's stupidity and bitterness.
Okay.
So is it pretty? How's the culture out there?
It's tough. So all right. So let me give you a quick story. So this was a few months ago. We were doing a membership interview with one of our children. Let's just not go there, Chalk Knox. Let's just not do. So all right, so we're doing, getting her ready to be baptized, and we don't baptize people just into Christ.
How
We
old?
baptized. She's 9 at the time.
Did you give Olive a membership interview when she came in your family?
Let's just not do it.
That's
Let's
a fair
not
question,
do it.
you know?
Okay, all right. Let's just not do it. All right, so we're doing the membership interview with one of the children of our parents, and because if we're going to baptize her, we're going to not just baptize her into Christ, but into the church, and so she's going to be a member.
Right.
And so we're doing the interview, talking about what it means to follow Jesus, be a member in the church, baptism, the Lord's Supper, the whole 9 yards. And we're doing it, and this was another stupidity on my part, but we're doing it, me and another elder, her father and her, the young lady, 9 years old, at a coffee shop. And we thought, we're safe here. False.
No.
So what was seen was 3 adult men and a girl. The 3 adult men, one is her father, 2 of her are her pastors.
Right.
It's good. So we have a woman who's like literally taking pictures on her cell phone, walking around us, taking pictures, and then she does her big, bold, lion-hearted confrontation. I'm a woman, hear me roar. I love children.
Are you safe? Blink twice if
right.
you are.
Yeah, pretty much. She was like, I can tell this is a cult. And I said, yeah, it's the most successful cult in all of human history, 2,000 years running. It's called Christianity, where this is her dad. Leave us alone.
Yeah.
Leave us alone. I'm going to report you. Okay, go for that.
Yeah.
Go for. But from now on,
I'm sure when you told her it was the most successful cult in history, she was like, never mind.
Never mind. It's great. Oh, in that case,
you eased my concern.
But we learned. So from now on, we do with children. We do our membership interviews in the parents' home.
No, I don't know. I think you.
Go baptize your kids if you.
I'm sorry. That was an accident. But maybe you have a chance for worldwide evangelism because something might break out because of that. So
you never know.
Maybe you take the opportunity.
Yeah, you never know. Count it all joy.
If you get a stage, right?
No,
the
you're
police
right.
come.
You're right. We'll take the
come,
press. We'll take the press. Yeah.
So not only are you in it up to your neck,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just culturally, you've talked to us a little bit about how this has even touched home with you in your own family.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about this.
All right. So last Christmas, so this would be Christmas 2018, about a year and a half ago. My brother, so I'm the oldest of 4. I was adopted. And then whatever was my parents conceived, whatever was broke got fixed because I got 2 little brothers and a baby sister. All right, so I'm the only adopted one. The rest are biological. This is my youngest brother. So it's me, and then it's brother, sister. Yeah. So my youngest brother, he came out and announced to the family this last Christmas that he is a woman, and that he's transgender, and it was painful, devastating. At the same time, I'm gonna be real. So I don't want to just my heart, just breaking, and I don't want to be dishonest about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the reality is, my heart already broke a long time ago. Because
this didn't come out of nowhere.
That's right. Yeah. So my heart broke when I saw very clearly in his politics, in his worldview, in the church he was choosing to attend, a very liberal, false church, in all those ways. Like, it was very clear that he wasn't following Jesus for years before this. That's when my heart broke.
Yeah,
so this was, in a way, this was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I see that play.
So you weren't surprised necessarily, huh?
It's a strategic play. I got to give him props.
Why do you say that?
It's a strategic play. So he came out. I'm a woman. Now I use this as a chance to preach the gospel to my brother.
Yeah.
So I spent about 20 minutes talking about transgenderism and mainly asking him questions because pastorally I wanted to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a pastor.
What's he thinking?
That's right. I'm a pastor who now all of a sudden I'm a pastor who has a brother who's transgender. And so I'm going to take that opportunity to learn, and figure out some things that educate myself on this.
Yeah.
And then the rest of this 2-hour conversation, the lion's share of it was just encouraging him that he is going to hell, and just encouraging him, loving him, encouraging him that he's not a Christian, and first and foremost, it's not because he's transgender. He's not a Christian because he denies the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so talking about what is the gospel. And so we had a really good conversation.
This is a symptom, a massive symptom of the problem.
It's the outflow.
Right.
And it is the logical outflow.
Right.
It is. So my brother's not an anomaly.
Yeah.
My brother just has the courage to do what logically makes sense for those who reject the lordship of Christ.
Connect the dots.
Yeah,
why is that logical?
It's logical because people want power. And if you're not submitted to the power, the lordship, the kingship of Jesus, then you want to be king. And you're going to be looking for any avenue you can find in order to gain
So
that.
you're saying theocracy is inescapable.
How does transgenderism give you power?
That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. So my brother is a white male. Right, and
he's a minority.
White males. No,
he is now.
He's not a minority. Now, minorities. It's so funny with that. You don't actually minority. You would think it's the minority in terms of numbers of the population, but women are minorities, and there's actually more women than men. So we won't talk about that.
They're an oppressed group, brother.
That's right. Yeah.
Do not bother us with the truth.
Let's not go there. But anyways, so my brother is a white male, and this is what he told me. It was really, really helpful. Really helpful. And my brother, I want to say, my brother, incredibly, if he ever listens to this, I want him to know, incredibly gifted, incredibly intelligent. I mean, certifiable genius.
Okay.
A lot smarter than I am.
Yeah.
He challenges me. When I go home every Christmas, I can find out if I'm really qualified for my role, because I go genius. Both of my brothers just they destroy me with their arguments. They're genius. And the only reason I have a chance in winning is I can't compete with their intellect. The only reason I can win is because I just have the right position.
You have the truth. Yeah. You have the foundation. You're staying on a foundation.
Yeah. So but I gotta give them props. Like they're taking a terrible, stupid position and still sometimes beat me in some battles. So that's impressive.
You don't understand gravity, but you believe in gravity.
Right. That's exactly right. So the reason why it's a strategic play and why there's power to be found there is because white males, that's the oppressive regime. But now my brother's a woman. And not just a woman, but he's a transgender woman. And so
with all the biological male parts.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And he's in an extreme minority group, simply by, and all he had to do was just carry a purse, paint his nails, wear a dress.
Right.
And so now this was so insightful. It was really helpful. And I'm very grateful that he was willing just to be honest with me and have this conversation. He didn't have to talk to me. So I do want to commend him. I'm not being sarcastic. I mean this. Thank you for talking to me.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things he said was, I said, well, when did you first decide you were a woman? Because I grew up with him. I mean, the dude's playing video. There was nothing female. As he didn't grow up playing with dolls when he was 5.
Yeah,
he was playing video games, running around outside. You're pretty
normal boy.
Normal boy. That's right. And so, talking to him, like, when did you start feeling like a woman? And he said, well, that's not the way it works. Because he didn't use this word, but this is what it is. He's being discipled. He's being discipled. So he lives in San Francisco.
Okay.
Shocker.
The environment helps.
Shocker. Right. The environment. So he's being discipled by the community there. And he was instructed and discipled by the priest of that community that you don't start carrying a purse because you feel like a woman. What happens, step one, is you just simply feel not like a woman, but you feel like something's missing. You feel like something's missing. So then you carry a purse, and then you see if that fills the void.
That helps.
Right. So it's not I feel like a woman, so I carry a purse. It's I feel like something's missing. So let's just do a trial run on being a woman and see if that fills the void.
So it's kind of like sifting for power.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's sifting for meaning. It's sifting for meaning.
Right.
And if I'm going to sift for meaning, satisfaction, significance, and there happens to be something in our culture right now that has power, then let's go ahead and grab
those two together.
But I think I'll connect the dots even further, because you said we naturally in our fallen state want to be God.
That's right.
And so what's the thing that's missing? I'm not God.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in your sins and you're the problem is that you're not God, you're not Lord.
Right.
And so I think both of them are true. I think it's
you're
looking for the fulfillment,
and
the meaning.
Yeah.
But in the fallen state, that meaning and that fulfillment is necessarily tied to how can I get the maximum power?
So you're looking to be God. You're also looking. I love R.C. Sproul always said this. He said, like, anytime he was evangelizing somebody who wasn't a Christian, they go back and forth, and R.C. Sproul would use his classical apoloetics and things like that, and maybe I think it's presuppositional, but some classical, apologetics.
He's a closet presuppositionalist.
That's right. But eventually it would come down to this: if if they weren't willing to bend, then eventually it would come down to one question: what do you do with your guilt?
Yep.
And so I think it's a play for power. It's a play for, like, I don't have God, so I need to be God. But it's also a way of atonement. It's a way of dealing with your guilt. So let me just spell it out. So here's the deal. So I'm a young man, all right, in this hypothetical scenario. I'm a young man, and I've made a lot of mistakes, right? And mistakes is really
you got a lot of guilt.
That's right. Yeah, I've got mistakes is churching it up. I've sinned. I have hurt people. I have advocated responsibility, right? So one of the best things I could do is just go back in time, make a decision now that goes back in time and shifts my entire narrative to where, hey, you know what the problem was? The problem wasn't me abdicating responsibility. The problem wasn't me sinning against God, sinning against others, making mistakes. The problem is, really, it's God's fault. Because God made a mistake when I was born, with my gender, right? God misassigned me.
You're a victim.
God's got a lot going on, and you can't expect him to get it right all the time. And you slapping those labels.
I'm a woman born in a male body.
Right. And so that's it.
It's a false process of regeneration.
Right.
Because it's being born again through this process, becoming a woman.
Yes, you're right. It is the liberal. It's the regeneration equivalent.
The difference being, though, that he's the victim. The person who's making this transition says, "I'm the victim, of this cosmic
this binary construct
accident and these binary constructs of patriarchalism and all the rest of it."
Right.
And so I'm being born again.
That's right.
As this victim.
That's right. And so what's missing? Well, I would say the answer is Sunday school. Like the answer is always Jesus. But maybe a little bit more specific than that. Like something's missing, so I'll carry a purse and see if that, fixes the problem. What's missing ultimately was his masculinity. What was missing was his manhood. And I don't want to detach that from Jesus, because Jesus is the God man.
Right.
He's the God man.
Right.
And so yes, Jesus was missing, but Jesus more specifically and in the godly masculine manhood that this my brother, this young man, he is a man, whether he likes it or not, it was meant to portray. And so because that masculinity was missing, because although he was at a young age a boy, a normal boy playing video games, playing outside, he's a little smaller, he's a little more scrawny. He wasn't he wasn't your typical surface level alpha male. Right, the facial hair, fixing cars, bow hunting, that kind of stuff, and I think part of what was missing is like, all right, like it's like Bruce Jenner, like it's at some level it's like, all right, if I can't compete in this realm, well then I'll just
and you wind up with a 30-year-old girlfriend, which is what Bruce Jenner has.
Right.
What's interesting about that is, I have so many questions right now with your family. Like,
I got a lot of questions.
Yeah, I know you do too, but I mean. Well, now you brought up Bruce Jenner, kind of changed my whole trajectory.
Sorry.
But Bruce, he's still, this is what's so confusing about it. He's still functioning and acting in the same way, like, because he's still attracted to women. Right. And so he still has this desire to be with a woman. So not all of his senses, he hasn't been completely desensitized in one sense.
It's a play.
I think most transgender, men who are dressing up like girls, men who are dressing like women.
Exactly. It's a complicated way of just saying I'm dressing like a woman.
But they're still sleeping with women.
That's right.
Right.
That's
and
right.
They're keeping their male parts.
That's right.
Yeah, and I mean, very few of them go through with surgery.
That's right. Because it's not genuine. And the ones who do go through with the surgery, sadly, their lives are ruined.
Apart.
Suicide rates.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, when you are going to the very core of who God made you, I mean, you exist as a human being, as a man or a woman.
Yes.
And when you deny that, you are already in the process of basically denying your own existence.
That's right.
I mean, that whole trans move is already a suicidal move.
Yes.
You're saying, I reject who God made me to be. I reject me.
Yeah.
And so when you go through with that and you find the dead end of that, rejecting that, then literally the only thing left really is to end your life.
That's right.
But you were already doing that. I mean, and all sin is suicidal.
Yeah.
Yes.
All sin is turning away from the life-giving God.
Because the wages of sin is volitional, and the wages of sin is death.
And wisdom,
so sin is volitional, the wages of sin is death, and it is suicide. That's a proper term.
And Proverbs says all who hate me love death.
That's right.
You know, so they love death. They're trying to find life in death.
Yeah.
But if you turned away from God, who is the God of all existence, and all that's left is death. Yeah. All that's left is darkness.
You look at our culture, and I mean, I grew up in Texas, 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, I can't believe how far we've come, just in my lifetime with our immorality. I was just listening to Ezekiel this morning while I was getting ready to come in the studio, and
humble brag.
And Ezekiel 16
hashtag Bible reading.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
I was in my little nook in my house. No.
Did you take a picture of it?
Man, I should have. I missed
the coffee mug.
And in Ezekiel 16, Ezekiel is laying out the case that Israel and Judah are able to teach Sodom and Gomorrah a couple tricks. That Sodom and Gomorrah they're
so bad.
They're so bad that Sodom and Gomorrah, it even says that Sodom and Gomorrah is more righteous than you.
Yeah.
Which is, and then he says to Israel and Judah, he using the imagery of a whore.
Yeah.
And he says, you're so bad, you don't even require money for your services.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. You're paying for it.
Yeah.
Which is where we are.
You're paying for it.
Which is where we are.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I think there's similar things that may go on. I wouldn't be surprised if we keep going down this cesspool, if we keep going down this toilet of cultural destruction, that God would say the same thing about America regarding like China.
Yeah.
Or Russia.
China is better than you.
You know, Saudi Arabia has a few things, is more holy than you.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, and it's, but I think, I mean, that's absolutely likely.
Right.
I want to just go back to the point you made about masculinity real quick. And I know we got to close. I know we got to finish. We're out of time. But, this is why it is so important for dads to love their sons.
Yeah.
And the thing I want to say here is that God made every man, every woman in his image, and sin has marred that image.
Yeah.
And so all of us have the effects of the fall in our bodies and in our hearts and in our souls. And so we're all distorted images of that. But Christ came to remake all the images and to remake us. We are new creatures in Christ, which means we're new men and new women.
Right.
But it's so important for fathers in particular to communicate that to their children.
Yeah.
And I would say maybe even particularly to the boys that God's given you who don't have all the alpha male
who are a little
characteristics, who are weaker, who are more interested in computer programming, who who want to write poetry or whatever. And teaching them how to be men in those callings is really important.
Yes.
And of course, sometimes it means, your boy needs to go play lacrosse or he needs to go play hockey.
But like masculine poetry. Masculine computer software design.
But when we emphasize masculinity, yes, we mean that it means you take responsibility. It means that you must be assertive where God requires you to be assertive. You must be a man in that sense.
Yeah.
But we know that David was the greatest poet. David cried and loved Jonathan.
Yes.
We know that Jesus was a man, but he had a heart of compassion.
Yes.
It's boldness, it's toughness, it's strength, but it also has a myriad of applications. And godly men need to know that without softening anything that the Bible says and say, son, you can be a man in this. And sometimes they need to be said, no, you can't do ballet. No, you cannot do ballet.
Especially at a Tim Keller's church.
And my daughters, no, you may not want to grow up and become a police officer. You may not grow up. No, we're not doing that.
I know a woman who's a police officer.
We don't want to get you in that much trouble.
Before we go, I can't help but, I'm sorry, I'll let you finish it.
Okay,
you can attack this on the end of that. I can't help but think there's somebody out there who's in your exact situation, who's doing the same thing right now.
How do I love him? What do I do?
What's your game plan, man, and how are you going to love on them?
Yeah, so I mean, preach the gospel, preach the gospel, preach the gospel. I think just encourage, and I want to use the word encourage. It is encouragement. So encourage.
Let me throw one more thing in there too.
Yeah.
Because you got a family too.
That's right.
So mix that into with this as well.
How do you interact with them?
How do you interact with them while you're loving on them at the same time?
As far as like mom and dad,
family,
kids? Or your kids,
or my kids.
Yeah,
this is Uncle Michael.
Right.
This is Uncle
He's
Michael.
a man.
Yeah,
he's a man.
Uncle Michelle.
That's right. Like, good to see you, sir.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
wonderful to see you.
Okay,
like Uncle Michael.
So you're still holding the standard.
That's right.
And loving
there's
at
a
the
different
same
name.
time. Yeah,
he's already changed the name.
Right.
Pronouns.
Yep.
And
but you're not going along with
our
that.
family. We don't show hospitality pronoun hospitality.
Okay, so JD Greer ain't happy with you.
No, JD Greer is wrong.
Okay,
yeah,
that's right. And so God bless him for some other things, but he's wrong. So yeah, so how I'm leading my daughters in this, because I have little impressionable daughters, is that this is Uncle Michael, and then aside from that, Uncle Michael's confused right now.
Right.
Uncle Michael needs Jesus.
Yeah,
let's pray for Uncle Michael. We love him.
And when you're saying a minute ago, you encourage, and we didn't quite.
I encourage that I would say for those who have somebody who's gay, lesbian, transgender, whatever, encourage them that they're not a Christian, and that this is not the quintessential deal breaker for why they're not a Christian. Get past it and start talking about what it means. So with my brother, we got to walk through the Nicene Creed together and just talk about how you deny it at every point. You're not a Christian because you deny the Nicene, the Apostle Creed. You deny Orthodox Christian confession that we've held for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
You're not a Christian. And so encouraging them with that and saying, I think the biggest thing is like, this is not when you walked away from Jesus. Somebody doesn't follow Jesus faithfully and then in a day, overnight, say, I'm going to be transgender. That's insane.
No.
So no, this is down the stream, down the stream. So bring them back up the stream and point out these were the things that were going wrong up here.
Yeah.
And this is the product.
And and your point earlier about the guilt. I mean, the guilt's still there. Even though they're trying to get a regeneration on their own, it's not real.
Right.
No.
It's not real regeneration. And he and all the other thousands or whatever there are who are trying this out to see if this fits.
It's a trial.
They're going to find that, even though it gives them some thrills for a little while, ultimately it doesn't actually fill that void.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And the only way that void can be filled is if they're willing to completely surrender.
Yep. Submit to God's order.
Yeah.
And trust that he's best. Can I say one little thing? So I really, this is a strong statement, but I really do, and I'm not saying this particularly to my brother, so let me make the clarification abundantly clear. I think in general, this may not be specific to my brother. In general, though, I really do think for the men in the transgender play, I think at some level, it really is as simple as a strategy for beta males to get laid. I want to say that very clear. I think it's a way of well, I'm not a John Wayne, I'm not a George Clooney, I'm not a I'm more the Michael Cera, Jesse Eisenberg, and now I'm carrying a purse and I'm wearing a dress and I'm a feminist and I'm all about women's rights and all of a sudden I'm in bed. So it's not genuine. My point is it is a play. It is a facade. It's fake. My brother is just as interested in women as he's ever been. And he's just found that it's more in this cultural climate, he's got a better chance of getting with women if he acts like that.
And that's because, for so long, the church has actually completely failed to teach on what biblical masculinity and femininity is. We even have Christians now saying they're recovering from biblical masculinity and femininity. That's the deal. And so we've discipled even women to think that men are supposed to be these
more feminine,
as feminine as possible.
Right.
In touch with their feelings.
The church is discipling men, and why not? Why not add fingernail polish and a purse to that?
See if it fits. Am I Truly Saved, your book?
Yes, sir.
Available on Amazon?
Well, so we're about to launch Right Response Ministries, April 1st. We're going to have the book on our website. In the meantime, though, 10 copies for you guys to give the club members.
All right. Awesome. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Keep working on opening. Until next week, look up with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. I'll be praying for you, brother, and your family. This is Cross Politics.